who's an elder in the Methodist Church, Jim Ryder, and Lori, who is a youth pastor in the Methodist Church. They are leading this amazing course. And before they share with you about that, they're going to dive into a very, very intriguing question. And the question is, what is youth ministry without spiritual formation? So I'm going to throw two proverbial microphones to you guys so you guys can take it away.
Actually, Lori and I visited a little bit in advance, and I'm going to jump in, but it's with her agreeing that I could jump in because I don't want to look like the typical male or the typical clergy person who has to have the first word. So thank you, Lori. And the reason I'm going to start is just to share a story, an episode from when I, in the wake of getting my certification studies done at Garrett, I'm going before the triad of elders that many people do on the way to certification in the United Methodist Church. And I'm sitting there with a group. There were two others. One was seeking a youth ministry certification, and the other was doing a dual youth ministry and children's ministry certification. And we proceeded to answer the questions by the panel that had been assigned. At the end of our time together, though, the conversation turned to stages of faith, one of the things that I had paid a special attention to in my work at Garrett. And with the real question surfacing, how does stage of faith discussions inform children's ministry and youth ministry? And there were a lot of answers that percolated up. I know that Lori even was intrigued by the question, but I know that one of the responses that surfaced was, how do we affirm the joy of coming to the faith? That affiliation with Christ, but also just the affiliation with a peer group. How do we keep that joy alive, but at the same time begin to orient youth to a richer, fuller journey that is going to go beyond those early stages of awakening to a deeper, more complex journey, one that even includes Janet Hagberg, in her book, The Critical Journey, will talk about a point that people reach called the wall. The ancients of our faith might refer to it as the dark night of the soul. It's a hard time. It's a time of rediscovering your faith, but it is nonetheless a time of disorientation. And so we've got a choice, say, in youth ministry of just affirming what a good feel it is. It just feels good inside to be in the faith. But if we accentuate that too much, youth as they grow up might be surprised by the hard side of the faith. And yet at the same time, if all we do is a Debbie Downer thing, take up your cross, Christianity is all about suffering, as indeed that's a dimension of it. But if we emphasize that too much, the youth lose that sense of joy at being in something that's going to get them through some very difficult years that they're about in adolescence, but for a lifetime. So the question that kind of loomed was, spiritual formation, in this case, a knowledge of the stages of faith seems important as we work with youth, but how do we present it in a way that it walks that balance of embracing their joy and fueling that joy, but at the same time being real and grounded?
Yes, I really think that that's going to be something so valuable in our exploration through this class that we're offering this August. And it also raises another question that we want to spend a good deal of time reflecting on, and that's how are young people that are engaged in youth ministry supporting not just the youth, but also the parents, their family units, the volunteers in their ministry settings, because all of that is so crucial to the faith development of our young people. And if we're tending and nourishing the souls of teenagers and young adults through our activities and our Sunday school lessons and our programming, but we're neglecting to do the same with our busy moms and dads, then we miss that opportunity to really create connections between the child and the parent that the youth can then use to process their faith, not just in a church setting, but in their homes and through every transitional moment in their lives when they need their parents there, in their own, helping them reflect in that their own faith language. Another thing I was thinking about was if we have volunteers in youth ministry, say a person who's willing to drive youth to or from camp in the summer, and that volunteer has an understanding of the stages of faith and their own spiritual journey. What if that young person in the back seat was to say, did you ever have a moment in your life where you were kind of questioning or maybe doubting whether there was a God, or just trying to understand your faith? And depending on the exposure of that volunteer to those stages of faith and some of those critical concepts in spiritual formation, think about how different their response might be than if they had just checked yes on the form and had no background or understanding of where that young person might be in their journey. Think about not just the response of the volunteer, but also the impact that would have on the young person themselves. And then I also believe that the larger congregation just has a real critical role to play in the faith development of their young people. So we intend to spend a lot of time discussing that as well, and all of the ways that faith stories need to be shared, that intergenerational dimension of ministry needs to be emphasized, and all of those components really work together to sustain and support young people in their own journey.
Right. You know, as you were talking, being real came to mind. The other word that I love is integrity, this being whole. And in youth ministry, as in all of life, being real is not just helping the kids be real, but it's bringing them to a real faith in the context of a real congregation, surrounded by people that are on a journey of being real themselves. And I think the overlaps are rich, and I'm really looking forward. I've already enjoyed getting to know Lori so much. And every time we do a new dimension of our work together, we just, the simpatico is rich and real. And I just look forward to the two communities from our certification programs coming together and hopefully joining us in this journey to realness, integrity.
It sounds like the course is going to do a wonderful job of lightening the load through proper equipping of youth ministry leaders. Am I hearing you right?
Yes. Yeah, we want to give tools to youth workers who want more support in how to encourage their young people in their journey, and we want to give good information and tools to people who are well versed in spiritual formation, but really want to understand what the unique needs of today's young people are. So we're just super excited about the way that these two fields are going to come together and enrich the other.
I agree. Thank you, Lori, for mentioning that, because I think there's ways. One of the things we affirm in our coursework is one size doesn't fit all. And I think that those who are versed in spiritual formation have a real opportunity here to realize that there are nuances and of being a youth and a young person and younger people working with youth that stand to inform some of our notions of spiritual formation for that age group. So I think it's going to be a two-way street that I look forward to.
And what are the dates again for the course?
We are going to kick off on Monday, August 16th. It's a 2-week course, and it will wrap up on August 27th. We're calling it a Youth Ministry and Spiritual Formation Symposium. I keep wanting to call it a collaboration because that's truly what it feels like, just a collaboration of people who are interested in both of these worlds, but we call it a symposium. Each day there will be lecture material from both Jim and myself. There's no homework, there's no required reading. Everything will be kind of self-contained within an hour or so per day over each of those 10 days of class. And we're going to wrap up our time together towards the end of the second week with a panel discussion and a Q&A, and kind of a intentionality of next steps for moving forward. Jim, have I missed anything?
No, I think you handled it great. I want to sign up.
Yeah.
We're so excited. We're doing the prep work and laying all the groundwork now. And like Jim said, every time we interact, we just get more excited about how this can play out for people. And we're just really excited to have a great cohort of learners together. So
I do know that we have focused in on those who have had a relationship to the youth ministry certification that Lori helps lead and facilitate, and the spiritual formation certification program that I help lead and instruct in. But it's not just past students. I think some people interested in, well, what do they do in the youth ministry certification might be interested in just seeing what that is about. And I think Lori will offer that. And similarly, those interested in the spiritual formation certification may be interested in what we do. And the good news is a couple weeks, it may be 10 days after we finish with our symposium, at least for me, Lori, I don't know when the next cohort kicks off for the youth ministry certification, but coming out of this, if people want to sign up for the spiritual formation cohort that launches at the end of August, it'll be a great jumping off point.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Well, I know that some of our friends that are watching this right now are equally as excited as you both are. So I will put the link to the course in the comments below this video for friends to explore if it's a win for them, it will serve them. And then can people tag you in the comments below if they have any questions?
That'd be great.
Please.
Love that.
Perfect. Perfection. Well, thank you so much for your time and sharing your talent in teaching this course.
Thank you,
Thank
Meg.
you.